Hello, my name is Philippa Major, and I will be presenting my research on Red Lobster and its recent financial troubles. On May 20th of this year, MSNBC news outlet reported that Red Lobster has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Acting CEO Jonathan Tibus stated in court documents that Red Lobster is suffering because of a difficult macroeconomic environment, a bloated, underperforming restaurant footprint, failed or ill-advised strategic initiatives, and increased competition within the restaurant industry. Red Lobster started experiencing difficulty when COVID-19 lockdowns occurred and restaurants were not able to operate as usual. Many restaurants did not make it out of lockdowns, but Red Lobster managed to survive. Once restrictions were lifted, they had trouble getting back to where they were pre-COVID. They started seeing some improvement in 2023, but then the CEO at the time, Paul Kenny, extended their once a week endless shrimp deal to an everyday deal. These troubles are further compounded by their current leasing deal when the chain was sold in 2014 to Golden Gate Capital Group. Darden Restaurants entered a sale-back lease agreement to fund the buyout. In other words, all active stores would no longer own the land and would have to start paying rent going forward. Up to now, 93 stores have closed and more will likely follow. This means that many people have lost their jobs and will continue to lose their jobs, as well as the $24 million in debt they are in to vendors is going to make it difficult to achieve stability. The organization has gone through changes in its 56-year history. So originally it was actually part of the Darden family, which included other famous chains such as Olive Garden, Yard House, and Ruth Chris's Steakhouse. Red Lobster, along with the rest of the Darden restaurants, were bought out by General Mills. General Mills then spun off their whole restaurant division, rebranding them as Darden Restaurants. In 2013, Red Lobster was sold individually to Golden Gate Capital Group for $2 billion. An article written for the Journal of Industrial Engineering said that companies often decide to take over other existing companies to diversify their own portfolio. So this is what happened when General Mills and Golden Gate took ownership of Red Lobster. I point this out to show that Red Lobster's organizational structure has changed multiple times since its inception. Right now, at the ground level, they follow a team-based structure, but at the corporate level, they likely follow a bureaucratic structure. So, moving forward, Jonathan Tibus announced that the company would be going through a restructure. And so, as part of that, I would also like to apply John Kotner's 8-step methodology on how they should proceed forward and try and solve their current issues. So, first step would be to create a sense of urgency, and this would look like informing all employees of the restructure and its ramifications, as well as really stressing, just making sure that everyone knows the situation that the company is currently in. Second step would be to build a guiding coalition. So in this step, I believe it should be that corporate is putting together a team at the top levels and essentially deciding on the best strategic moves that need to happen so that they can go forward, because what they decide at the top is going to essentially decide what happens at all levels. The third step would be to form a strategic vision. And so for this, it would be to collaborate on how the restructure will occur within the corporate ranks. I believe they should consider a leveraged buyout. Maybe try getting back with the Darden Restaurants family, and then also try and determine their current level of solvency, which means, in other words, to determine their ability to take care of their debts in the short term and also in the long term. Fourth step is to enlist a volunteer army. So when the path forward is established, maybe try and bring employees from the lower ranks to be involved, and which in a way gives them a chance to prove themselves and see if they really could make it up in the higher levels. The fifth step is enabling action by removing barriers. So this step, I believe they should start kind of trying to pay off their debt, or trying to find ways that they can start paying that off. Sixth step, generate short-term wins. So this would look like progressively increasing their income. Seventh step involves just essentially keeping the momentum going, and then eighth step is really again just making sure that they're not going back, and just making sure that the changes that they have initiated already continue to go forward and not backwards, like I said. So if one has not been established already, a culture of servant leadership and conscious capitalism should be established. So this can be done in a few ways, such as by providing mentorship and newer and less experienced employees, both at the ground level as well as the corporate level. So according to the website, it does appear that Red Lobster is actually doing some stuff that would indicate that they do follow the idea of conscious capitalism servant leadership, because they actually do offer their employees a essentially aid when they're going through tough financial struggles. It's called the Red Lobster Cares Program, and they also give back to their local communities by donating their unused foods to local homeless shelters and food banks. So this will not be an easy path going forward for Red Lobster. In fact, they may not be able to make it out of this predicament. Fact of the matter is that they will likely lose more locations, as they do owe a significant amount of money to vendors, which in turn likely harms relationships with those vendors and may deter other vendors from doing business with them. So yeah, there is a real chance that Red Lobster may not be able to cover. So one may ask how they will be able to overcome these odds. So here is a flowchart detailing the steps involved in restructuring a business. Now, Jonathan Tibus, like I said before, had already announced that they will be in the process of doing a restructuring. So, given that the decision's already been made, they're likely already at the decision-making stage, maybe a little further on at this point. So, an article written for accrual journal Accountancy described the prime objective of restructuring to be to enhance capital base, improve financial performance, increase shareholder value, and be more competitive, all of which are things that Red Lobster needs improvement in. It goes on to say that restructuring focuses on adjusting the mix of debt and equity in the financial structure to meet specific goals. Red Lobster has a significant amount of debt, but they are still pulling in revenue, and they do have a significant amount of assets. with Mr. Types' experience and well thought out moves, they may be able to make it out of this situation. And if they are able to make it out of the situation, this will be a great lesson going forward for Red Lobster and how they choose to conduct business in the future. Thank you very much. This has been my presentation, and I appreciate your time.